Thank you again for tuning into the Stephen Cohn Radio Show with your host, of course, Stephen Cohn. And today I have a special treat for you guys. I have Pamela Cohn. She is a senior right now at Wright State University. She is studying communication, and she also, coming in the fall, will also have her own radio show called
Making the Connection on WWSU 106.9.
All right, thank you, Pamela, for being here with us today. I'm gonna jump right into it. Today, we're gonna talk about operating. We're gonna talk about the FCC, and we're gonna talk about the effects of media. And so, just give me some background information. Um, we know that the GM is responsible to the shareholders to maximizing their return on their investment. We also know that the program director is responsible for the content that gets put out over the air. And we also know that the FCC um, tries to promote diversity, but with the signing of the Telecommunications Act of 1996, we see that that really isn't so. We see there's about six, give or take, seven, however many media conglomerates now and in the game. And I also want to point out that the FCC has insisted that they're not interested in content. So that in turn puts it back into these stations, and they can, um, of course, with some type of regulations, they can't get too crazy, but they can put whatever they want out there, so they're in control of the content. And now that leaves us with whatever they choose and to put out on the air and whatever they think is important. So, with all that being said, Pamela, I want to get your ideas on, the operating, the FCC. Should, the FCC step in more? Or is it not as bad as, I'm making it or others are making it out to be? And us as viewers and the audience, are we responsible for what we consume? And do we have power? Your thoughts, Pamela?
Well, I would like to say thank you for having me.
Of
I would
course.
like to say that the general manager, of course, they're going to cater to their stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to cater to the owner.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going to give them what they believe what they want, the
Right.
type of program they want. And then they're going to actually recruit the talent that's going to actually cater to a specific audience. And so when we talk about the FCC and we talk about the passing of the Telecommunication Act of 1996, then that led up to the opening for oligopoly. And so when you do that, you have a limited amount of voices that are out there or perspectives. And so they're going to cater to that perspective. And so that's when you talk about agenda setting. So each of the conglomerates, they have an agenda. So whether it is conservative, they're reaching a conservative audience.
Yep.
Whether it is liberal, that's a more liberal. Whether it is a moderate, it's
Mm-hmm.
more moderate. And so because we would say even now, even the tone or the culture the climate of our culture now is not moderate.
Mm-hmm.
The climate of our culture is either or, is on a polar opposite. So we either have a strict conservative or a very liberal. And so when we talk about regulations and we talk about what the FCC is going to regulate, they're going to regulate language, whether it's obscene language or whether it's profanity at certain times of the day. And so that's as far as it goes as far as content is
Yeah.
concerned. The content is left up to the media outlets.
Mm-hmm.
And so the consumer, they're catering to the consumer because the way they make money is that they are going to have the advertisers advertise their
Yep.
products, and that's reaching a consumer. And so the consumer is going to not only consume the product that the media outlets are putting out, but they're actually going to consume those advertisers' products that they're putting out. And sometimes you can even say that the advertisers may have an agenda.
Yeah.
And something that we saw that with the Cheerio commercial where they had the mixed race family, or we see that with the new Cadillac commercial where they
Mm-hmm.
have the man talking about how his family accepted his sexual orientation. So we have all of these different outlets wanting to push an agenda.
Mhm.
And so we can see that. And so that was more liberal. You might not see that same Cadillac commercial on to a program that's geared towards conservative audience, more of a liberal, and you will see where it's placed at certain times of the day. And so that is the general managers and the program directors. Those are their job to do that because they're making sure, as you said, that those investors are getting a return on their investment. And actually, ratings are important when it comes to who's watching because it tells them are they reaching their target market, and so that viewership is important to them.
That it is. That it is. And I like what you said. Now, um, what can we take from this in closing? What can we now do as consumers? What power do we really have?
Well, we have a lot of power, and if you can see the shift, because if you don't buy the product
Mm-hmm.
that they're offering, then they're going to have to come up with another product. And we can see that it comes in trends.
Yeah.
And we see how we consume media before. And then we started consuming media differently.
Mm-hmm.
And so industries had to shift. And then we see a surge of cable because they're offering something of diversity. And so when we say that we were so crazy about reality television, and now it seemed not to be as much, and so we see a return of the sitcom. So consumers have more power than they realize because the important thing is as they want to get the consumer into the marketplace to buy
Mm-hmm.
goods. So if the consumer is not consuming a particular program, they're not watching a particular program, then they're going to have to diversify their product.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're in business to make money, and so that show is their product, that programming is their product.
Wow. So we know that we have more power than we may think,
Yes.
but how do we get heard? How do we become heard? How does our opinion get out there? We know that we have Nielsen ratings, right?
Nielsen ratings.
Of course. And what else?
And you also have different surveys.
Right.
And so when if a media program asks you for what is your viewer, what do you watch, what is your programs that you like to view, what is your schedule?
Mm-hmm.
Some even ask, do you DVR? Then you answer those, and you be objective. And then also there are you can just by not watching, just by not consuming the product, but also even your cable outlets, your cable companies, and if they have some, I would like to have this channel. I would like to have this type of program, and I want to have this type of network in my package.
Right.
So you can do that. And so until they diversify, and if they don't, we'll say I'm going to change companies. And so you have the power of the purse.
Right.
And so that speaks louder than anything, because if you just say, well, this is subpar, then if you buy that product, then they're going to continue to offer that to you.
One more last point I want to leave with our viewers is that is media really affecting us, or are we affecting media? Or is it like, simultaneous? What is it really like? Is it interactive? Is it exchanging? 1 minute it's the media, the next minute it's us. Because we know that kids are influenced. We know that young adults are influenced. We know that these, different particular groups of people at any given point in time are influenced. Like video games definitely has an influence. We also know that, or it can have an influence. We also know that, like, violent movies or whatever have you can influence the viewer. So what do you think? Do you think that there is definitely an influence of the media?
Absolutely.
Do you think that we influence media?
I think maybe it's a little bit of us influence media because they're catering to the climate of the culture, but in a large part, media has the power to change public opinion.
Right.
And the media knows that they have that power to change public opinion. And we can see that in the type of programming that is offered. And so we would say, if you take, for instance, how the success of the Cosby Show, he wanted to put a product out there that was going to change the public opinion about African Americans, and largely he did. We can see that with Will and Grace. They wanted to change the public's opinion about sexual orientation, and in large part, that was the beginning of public opinion changing. We can see in news outlets such as sources such as Fox News,
Mm-hmm.
their agenda is to criticize the President Obama's administration and him personally. And so they would not say President Obama, they would say Obama. They wouldn't say the Affordable Health Care Act, they would say Obamacare.
Right.
And so that is a matter of influencing public opinion.
Right.
Also, we have the idea of that we have parasocial. And so the media knows this. And
Yeah.
so they're playing on that because we developed relationship with people that we see in the media as if we know them personally and we're personally invested in them.
Yep.
But that is not reciprocated, not even in the light of all of the celebrities on social media, whether
Right.
they're tweeting, whether they're on Instagram. They're not as engaged with us as we are personally invested with them.
Wow. Now, I wish we had more time, but we really don't. But I thank you for tuning in, and I also want to thank my guest, Pamela Cone, for coming in on the show. And anything else, Pamela Cone, you want to leave with my audience today?
I would just say to be more media literate and
Yes.
to be actively engaged and realize that you have choice.
Yes. And we do have the power to influence and change. All right. Thank you again for tuning into the Stephen Cone Show. Have a good day.
Thank you.